Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know some of you have been waiting and requesting video like this for quite a while now, so here comes. Today I will attempt to do proper constructive feedback and criticism on some of your images that you have sent me for this purpose. As I mentioned in this video, I'm doing that because I was so close to crossing 5,000 subscribers, and I recently crossed that, so I'm very thankful. Thank you very much. I appreciate every one of you. You're perfect. So yeah, I wanted to give you something back. And what's the best way to learn something new, or to learn in general, than from our own mistakes, right? I know I certainly did learn a lot in the past, and still learning from my own mistakes, you know, the hard way. So yeah, I know how it is. When somebody points out the mistakes to you, or actually lets you know that this is the mistake or this could have been done better, that's when you realize that you can improve and you can actually get it better the next time. So hopefully today I will, give you some valuable information. I'll be sharing some retouching tips and some photography tips as well to give you a better idea on what you can do better for your future photo shoots. Yeah, I'll at least attempt to do that. If you're part of any Facebook group or photography social platform where there's photographers sharing their work and you are allowed to put a comment underneath the images, I'm sure that you come across some CC before, or constructive criticism. Yeah, that wasn't very constructive. Yeah, I know that you do. Leave me a comment if you did, because hilarious stories are there sometimes. I mean, I received fair share of them myself as well. So yeah, sometimes those feedbacks are given by people who doesn't shoot the same thing as you do, which can be a problem, because if you get a comment on your product photography from wedding photographer, is not very relevant, or if wildlife photographer is commenting on your portraits, it's again not going to be too relevant really. And sometimes you get comments like, oh, this is not good, or oh, you should stop shooting, or all that rudeness from internet heroes, which is again not really constructive. You can't really learn anything from it, and you can't really get those comments into consideration too much, because they have different focus in their work, you have different focus, and the photography is so complex and so different, then you can't really take that too much seriously. So it's good to have feedback from somebody who your work you love, or somebody who's doing the same as you do. So today it's going to be me telling you about your mistakes and what you can do better, because we're talking about beauty and beauty retouching, so beauty photography and beauty retouching. As I mentioned, today I will attempt to do the proper constructive feedback, and hopefully that will be helpful for you. But yeah, enough rant over, let's have a look at your images. So I received a couple of images from you guys, so let's have a look some of them in more details. Let's start with the first one from Carlos Monslave or Monslave. I'll open that in Photoshop so we can have a look. As we see before and after, let me zoom in a little bit better and actually put this one on top of the original one, so we can have a look a little closer. I absolutely love what you did with the color. I think the image has a great vibe. Overall looks very good. The hair looks fantastic, especially considering how it was before, so it was a little bit messy. I really like what you did, cleaning up the skin and the makeup, so filling up a little bit of the gaps here, as you can see. I really like that. I also appreciate what you did with the lashes. Here, however, on this side, the lashes are still missing a little bit. They're pointing towards down or out instead of going up as on this other eye, so I would probably have a look at that a little bit more. Otherwise, I really like what you did. The skin looks very nice. Looks like a good job. There was a little bit of pores, you still kept the texture, and everything looks pretty good. I love what you did with the grain to add a little bit more story to it, or more vibe, better feel, because the grain, I think, does a good job making it more cinematic. So so far so good. So Carlos, Monslave. Okay, let's have a look at the other one. Let me close this. Don't save. Let's have a look at the other one from Carlos. And again, let me put the edited one on top of the original one. So this is a little bit different story. I know this picture is from Julia Kuzmenko, as I know this image. And if we have a look at before and after, we do have a little bit of problems here. First, what I see right away is the skin tone has changed a little bit too much for my liking. So, however, it was a little bit yellow, so probably the white balance wasn't as on point as probably should have been. But because you changed the skin and you changed the whites, especially in the image, and the white balance, we get a little blue tint in her eye, a little too much, I would say. And as I can tell that right away, and I'm sure you can see that as well. But if you, for some reason, don't see it, or you don't know how to see if this is good white or bad white. So if you have a look at the info here, and I hover over the eye, we can see that we are getting a little more of the blues, like reds 64, green 75, blue 81. So we do have a lot more greens and blues in the whites than the reds, so it's a little bit imbalanced. And also we can check it just by clicking on picking the color from the eye, and just have a look what the color is, and in this it's in the blue family. So whenever I click, we're still getting colors from the blue family, just different hues and different luminance levels. So to fix it, we can just create a hue saturation layer and desaturate a little bit, not too much, about -50 will do. I'm just gonna invert the mask, and with my brush I'm just gonna desaturate those, so we get rid of that little tint in the eye. That would be a real quick solution, but if you want to do proper solution, it's also a good idea to just go ahead and open your curve adjustment layer, selective color, or color balance, whichever of these you prefer. I'm gonna go with curves, and I'm gonna open the blue channel, and let's just bring that down a little bit. And I'm also gonna open the greens and do this, and I'm just gonna invert the mask again and paint the adjustments that we did only on the eyes, and that should sort our problem. They go from blue to more neutral color. So now that's looking a little bit better. The other thing is the skin tone, as I mentioned. It's a very uniform. So on top of that, it's a little bit different than the original image. So there was more yellow, and here we have more reds and browns in the image. It's very uniform, especially on the hand. As we can see, there's just one hue of color in different luminance levels, and that's never the case on the hand. We do have a lot of colors here, going from orange, browns, reds, and yellows, and we can't really make them too uniform because it will look unnatural. So I will probably just dial back on that one. Otherwise, I do really like what you did with the skin, and especially the lips. If we have a look, there was lots of corrections needed to be done on the lips and also on the nails. So amazing work on that. I really like that. But yeah, overall, because the skin is very uniform in the color, and because the eyes are very blue or cyan in color, I don't really like those two aspects, so I'll probably fix that. And the easy way how to check for the perfect color is to make sure the white balance is good on the image. So first I would start with going on the background layer or the original image and change or check for the proper white balance, and we can do that with going to filter and camera raw. And in the camera raw we have the white balance here. We can check, we can get the white balance tool or the color picker and check for the white spot or whatever should be white on the image. And if there's nothing white, it's always eyes, so we have eye whites. I will click there into the eye whites, and now we have a little better white balance, as it was a little too yellow. So I would start with this image, and then there is less chance that you would end up with some skin tone that is too far from reality. Alright, so that was another image. Don't save. Let's have a look what we have again here. So Edward Black, he sent 4 images. Let's open all of them in Photoshop so we can have a little look. I love your photography overall. You can see all the Instagrams I'm linking on the screen, and also will be in the description, so you can have a look at these photographers' works on Instagram. Let me start with this one. I really love the colors, and everything is taken with a little wider lens, I would say, because we see a little deformity here, so the chin and the jaw is a little bit bigger than the forehead. It appears to be bigger from the viewer point of view, so it's probably was taken with a little wider lens, and that's okay if it's something creative or editorial or something, but it probably wouldn't hold as a commercial photography, unless of course you have a brief from client that requires a little bit more creativity like this. The focus here is on the nose. I see that's the sharpest part of the image. It's not even the lips, it's somehow the nose and the eyes are not in focus. But again, if this was an editorial, that's not really a problem. I do like the framing and the light that looks very natural like, so amazing work there. Another image here, again looks a little more creative, more editorialish. I like everything about it. Maybe just this little hair is I would get rid of them or do something about it so it's not so visible, and maybe fill a little bit of the hair here. Otherwise, amazing work. Another image, I like that again, the light's a little bit more contrasty, more shadowy, so it's not the normal beauty image as you would see usually, as I also see the lights coming from the side. I like the earring, how it stands out. I will probably clean the eyes a little bit, so we'll get rid of these little veins in the eye that can be a little bit distracting. Otherwise, again, a great job. I really like your work, Edward, so perfect. And this last image that Edward sent, I do have a couple of issues with the image. For first and foremost, I really don't like when on beauty images we have hand that you can see the fingers, so either just the wrist and with the fingers pointing towards the neck or towards the back, or when the wrist is on top of the head or somewhere where you can see the hand but you can't see the fingers. It gives me a little bit weird feel, so I would stay clear of that. I don't use that in my photography, for example, so and that's probably the only thing I do have to say about this image, and that I don't like this hand here, and it's a little bit like too stuffed, I would say. The hair's nicely framing the face and everything, but maybe because of the hand, or maybe because of this little hair, or maybe the angle of the face or angle that the picture was taken was a little bit more from the above. It feels a little tense, but yeah, otherwise it looks very good. Thank you, Edward, for sending your images. And we are moving to another one, and that's Mohan Matang. So let's have a look at Mohan Matang's retouching work. Again, let me open the edited one on top of the original one, and we can have a look here. So this picture is from William Clark. I know, again, because I know William's work, and unfortunately this is not really a good edit. I would suppose that there was a frequency separation used here quite heavily, so we end up with a very blurred colors that are mixing into each other, but we still keep the texture, so that gives me the feel of the separation. So the texture doesn't really lines up with the colors, because as you can see here, if I zoom in really closely, we can see all the different colors that are in the skin. So on a pixel level, we can see the difference between there's orange, there are reds, yellows, and all the stuff. There's a micro color fragments in the skin that getting destroyed with the frequency separation. That's why that's not a good technique to use when retouching portraits, and especially when retouching skin. So I would stay away from that, because if I just click on and unreveal the edited version, now all of the same is the one same color that's seamlessly going from one to another, whereas here there was a lot of color included in the image. So we are getting a little bit mixed signals here. Also, the white balance, you fixed it quite nicely. I like that. I don't really appreciate what you did with the makeup, because this was meant to be very natural and dewy with a little bit rose cheeks, and there was just a little slightly something, a hint of color on the lips, but what you did was to make them look very bright and very saturated, which doesn't really work overall with the image. So I would just keep them as they are. Always when you're retouching beauty images, you can't really change the makeup too much, because that's what's the point of the beauty photography. So you're trying to sell or show the makeup with beauty photography. It's the same as you're trying to show and sell the clothes with fashion. You're doing the same with the makeup, so you can't really change it too much. So yeah, as I said, the white balance you corrected nicely, maybe a little bit too cold, but the skin work really needs lots of improvement, and I would definitely stay away from frequency separation, or at least bring it back 50%, because this is very easily giving away that it's been retouched. And the point of retouching is to create an image, the final image, to look like nothing has been done to it, but it's still retouched. So we're trying to keep it all very natural. So that's one from Mohan Matang, and let's have a look at the other one. Let me just open that in Photoshop, and let's have a look here. Again, I'm just gonna move the image on top of the original one, so we don't have any troubles here. One more time. Okay, it's not going that way, so I just need to resize it. Sorry about that. Usually when you hold Shift, when you're moving the image, it will be placed exactly on the same spot as you need. Didn't really work this time. Never mind. Alright, so let's have a look at this edit. Very hard image to retouch to start off, because the hair is really messy, and hair is always biggest pain in the ass, excuse my French, but You see we still have lots of flyaways here. This could have been a little bit more tidy, and so lots of flyaways everywhere. They stayed there. What Mohan did was just change the backdrop, which give us a radically different feel to the image, so it's more in the portrait or fine art kind of style because of the textured backdrop, which I don't mind as much. What I do mind is, again, the makeup was changed quite rapidly, and that's not really what we should be doing when we're retouching. And we are also getting the little separation feel from the skin because the texture is there, but the colors are too smooth for the texture. I would definitely run a little dodge and burn on top of it because the nose could have been fixed, and also if you have a look at the chin, there's a little patches on the cheek here as well, so that can be all sorted with dodge and burn. So I'll definitely recommend you to have a look at some dodging and burning technique instead of frequency separation, and I will link that in the corner here and also in the description. Okay, so that's Mohan Matang. Thank you very much for sending your images. Moving on to another person that sent the images, and that's Tomasz Halushka. It's my friend from Slovakia. I'm gonna open this one because I love this image and I want to say something about it. Okay, let's bring this over the original one and we'll see what Tomasz did. So first of all, I love the styling. I love everything about this image. It's amazing. I love the red on red on red on red. It works really well. I see it was shot on the white background, or what's that? It's a reflector, and probably a color gel was dropped in the background or flashed in the background to create the red backdrop, which is very clever and something definitely you can do if you don't have lots of color backgrounds. Tomasz fixed the hair a lot, straightened the clothes, which I really like. I like what you did, removing this hair that was definitely distracting, so great job on there. However, I do have one very important pointer on this image, and that is whenever you shoot with a very vibrant color, that is the biggest focus of the image. So we have red background, red beret, red top, red lips. So we're getting lots of red in the image. It will affect the skin tone. So we need to keep an eye so the skin tone doesn't go to red as well. Or if it was on a pink backdrop, we'll need to make sure the skin tones doesn't pick up the pink tint. All that applies for any other color as well. So what we can do here is to just bring a curve adjustment layer, just go to the red channel, and we see we're spiking quite high here on the red. We're going over the board in the midtones. As we know, this is our shadows, this is our midtones, this is our highlights on the RGB image. So we're spiking quite a lot here over the histogram. So that's how we can easily tell it's a little overboard. So I'm just gonna make a point over there and just bring it back a little bit this way, so to even it out a little bit. And as you can see, we bring down a little bit of the exposure. So I'm just going, and on the same place I'm going to bring the exposure back a little bit, so higher. And now I'm just gonna invert the mask, Command I, and with my brush I'm only going to apply the changes to her skin, maybe a little bit to her hair as well, so something like that. And now her face and her skin is not too red anymore, stands out a little bit more, brings more attention to the face, and gives a little bit more real results, because nobody's skin is really this red overall. So I would just change this little detail on the image and that's it. It looks really good. Amazing job. Let's move on to another image from Tomasz, and we have these two lovely ladies. Open with Photoshop, Okay, again, let's do the edited one on top of the original one. So fantastic work on the skin. I absolutely love what you did with the skin. Looks like very quality dodge and burn. Nice work on fixing the lips as well. Looks very nice. I would probably get rid of this mess of a hair here, or at least try to, as I can see, you already tried to make this hairline a little darker, so it doesn't get too much attention from the viewer. But I would probably work on that a little bit more. And the one thing I noticed that stayed the same was at the little green tint in the hair. So I'm not sure if the model was supposed to have a green hair or she's just blonde and we're getting some weird green cast here on this part of the image, because as I click on that color I see it's a green orange, you know, it's going brown over here, so it's not really the best hair colors. I will probably just try to fix that, but I also like what you did with matching the t-shirts or the tops, so it's a little bit more cohesive. So nice work overall. I will probably just focus on the hair here a little bit more and try to balance out these green hair. So let's have a look at one more of Tomasz's images, and it actually will be these two. I'll open them both. So it's a black and white image, which is not really, at least I don't consider it beauty as such, because the beauty, as I mentioned, is here to sell or show the makeup, and we're trying to make the skin and the makeup and the model looks the best, so the makeup looks the best on her and therefore it can sell. When you inverting the image into black and white, you kind of stripping away all the colors and the makeup can't pop or anything. It's more of a portrait for me, so I would classify this as a close-up portrait, but this is my professional opinion. So if I was shooting beauty for a client, I could never go to black and white unless it was specifically asked for or requested that the images will be black and white for some reason, or if this is an editorial, then feel free to go a little more black and white or more creative with the colors or the editing style or the photography style, because editorial gives a lot of room to do whatever you want essentially. But for normal beauty, this wouldn't be classified as a beauty. This is more of a portrait, and I really like this portrait. It's the stare of the model is amazing. The eyes, everything's popping out. You can see the emotion on her face, so I love that. One little thing that I am not too big a fan of, so whenever I see a black and white images, I do like to see them in black and white. This is more of a gray on gray, so I like to see them a little more contrasty, more popping, so there's lots of gray areas over here. Otherwise it's amazing work, as well as here, fantastic light, the model is perfect, the skin retouching is amazing. Maybe this little crack over the lip, I would just try to get rid of that. Otherwise, you know, it's a great work. However, I wouldn't classify that for beauty, but it's still amazing photography. So we have that, and moving on to our last person, Tonsi Karim. He sent some images, so let's open them in Photoshop and have a look what we have here. So first, let me open the edited one on top of the original one, and we see here there was a lot of different colors in the skin. There was lots of blues in the highlights and then oranges in the shadows. You see, this is the highlights, very blue. All the highlights are very, very blue. Her hand is very blue and very cold, and we see a lot of warm tones in the shadows and the mid-tones, and what Tomasz did was to make them all look very warm, and I really like that. I really like how it turned out. I love what she did on the earring. That was amazing job. I will show you guys before and after so you can see a little closer. That was before and after, so amazing job on that. Absolutely love it, what you did. For my liking, the skin is a little bit too uniform. Again, that's the problem that we had on the image before, that I don't see too many variabilities in the skin, so I would like to see a little different tones there. It's great that you made it all look more as one, so we got rid of these cool shadows, these cool highlights, and made them look more uniform, but maybe too uniform. I would still like to see hints of a little different color here on the neck, or a little different color here on the arm, because again, if you have a look at your own arm, the color is not the same on the arm from the bottom than it is on your face or on your neck. So we need to keep the realism there a little bit to make sure we are doing a really, really good job. But otherwise, amazing. As I said, I really love what you did on the earring, and you know, the image was amazing to start with, so there was not much retouching needed to be done anyway. And let's have a look at the last image for today, again from Tonsi Karim. Again, the Instagrams are in the description and also popping on the screen. So let's have a look. So for this last image, again, we have the same issue as with the image before. There was not much makeup on the model, so we see a little bit of green and purples under her eyes. We see the freckles being really nice, popping, and the skin showing all the different colors, and on the pixel level, the variety of the colors that we all have in the skin. So nobody's skin is perfectly uniform, so we need to dial back a little bit on the uniformity. This is added on with gradient map here in Photoshop, or some other techniques in Photoshop, or it can be done in a Capture One. There is a tab specifically for skin tones that says uniform the skin tone, so probably dial back on that slider a little bit, or on the overall edit. You did add a little bit of makeup here to match the overall vibe and the eye makeup, but as I mentioned before, that's not always the best idea to do if you're shooting for a client. If this was the request by client to change it, or a request by makeup artist or whoever, then fine. Or if this is just for your portfolio, again, that's good. I don't have anything against that, but for clients or for commercial work, you need to stick with the makeup that it's done by a professional makeup artist on the shoot. Other than that, I like the photography, I like the retouching. I'm not sure if you are the photographer. No, Nina Masit is the photographer, so I do like the photography, and I do like what you did with the skin. It looks nice, but we do need to dial back on the uniformity of the skin, because we also lost a lot of freckles that were amazing, lots of these little things that are on the model's face permanently, like these little marks here, and I would personally leave it there to keep it more natural. And yeah, natural is the good word, a little more natural feel to the image. So if I wanted to fix something, it will be probably the lashes, as I see this gap here, and I would probably make sure this is a little nicely blended, as we still have a little distraction here. Otherwise, it's a nice job. So yeah, thank you very much guys for sending all your images for me to run it and tell you a little bit more what I think about them. I think there was some amazing work, amazing photographers out there, amazing retouches, just a little bits and bobs to keep an eye on for the future, to try to do the best as you can. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new, and I'll see you here next time. Bye bye. Again, I really appreciate that. It's like I could never thought it was gonna happen one day. Mind blowing, really. So today will be the feedbacking for the. Let's go into what I wanted to say, and that was actually this.